Hey guys.
Welcome back to Shut the Smut Up.
Yeah.
What is up?
My guy. We're still on the fucking Grinch thing.
I can't. I can't stop. It's like all the vocal stems going around. Like I can't stop.
It'll be around for generations.
Yes.
It's actually one of my niece and nephew's favorite thing.
Rocky. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
That was important. I couldn't let her lick.
That's fine. Her dog just had she had surgery.
Yeah, she had her staples removed, so I was like, stop it.
But my niece and nephew, that's one of their favorite things, and they didn't know about the hand thing, so I taught them, and now they're like,
what is that?
So, anyways, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about A Debt of Shattered Hope by N. Cáceres.
You said it perfectly in your video on TikTok, so
I think it's Cáceres. I think that's how you say it.
I can't say Hispanic names or anything like that.
Google Translate.
Google Translate is your best bet.
I do not speak another language. I wish I spoke another language, but unfortunately I do not.
Sign language is the only other language that I can do. So
it's more than I can do. So,
but this we were able to get an ARC from House of Fables. So thank you for gifting us that ARC.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Cáceres as well as House of Fables.
Yes.
So this is out now.
Yes, we're a little behind on our video. This came out March 25th? 28th. 28th. March 28th. So, what did you rate this book?
I gave this a 4 out of 5 star.
How many chili peppers?
I would give it a 2.
Okay. I rated this a 4.5 and I gave it a 3 chili pepper because it's a dark romance and it's a little twisted.
It's a dark. It's
a little dark. Twisted, and I kind of feel like I'm in a dark fantasy era a little bit.
I would say this is probably the most dark romance. Mm-hmm. It's romantasy. I would say it's romantasy.
Well, technically Guild is considered a dark fantasy, but this to me is darker.
I would say it's way darker.
This is more like what I would have considered dark romance, I guess.
I would say
fantasy.
This is 100%. I would say dark romance. But dark fantasy, so it's a dark romantasy. So, and this has trigger warnings in it, so definitely check your fucking trigger warnings.
Here's the thing, right? I ignore all of the trigger warnings of everything because I feel like we don't ever read things that are dark enough to even consider them. This is one of those that when I did my review on my own, I was like, check it, because I just skirt by and there was a few things in this that I was like, ooh, but I still loved it. I was like, why is it working? I don't know. It was weird. I felt weird about it.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
I don't have a problem with any kind of triggers or anything. Yeah. So I don't ever really check them, but I know people do have a problem with triggers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, definitely check your trigger warnings because who would have thought that there's some scenes in this that a torture kink is a thing? I mean, there are.
Yeah,
I mean, there is. People do like that.
Yeah.
Especially in books.
Well, we don't usually read stuff like that. Yeah. Another thing, side note, right, before we actually jump into this book. I think it's funny because, like, as an adult, I do not ever remember trigger warnings until, like, COVID hit.
Oh, 100%.
Do you No. I don't feel like that was a thing. It was just, like, and now it's, like, sometimes you'll look at books and the trigger warnings are so freaking long.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, my allergies are bad. I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you. That's my sign language for you guys. In sign language, it's bless you. It's like a cross.
Fancy. Okay, I guess I'm not. I'm just gonna be sniffly.
But I would agree with you on that. I don't feel like I had ever really. But then, I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoyed it though. I actually think I like this book a little bit more than you. I feel like we're kind of.
But then again, I came off the high of Blood and Betrayals, which was such a huge book, though.
Yeah.
So.
See, and I feel like I just devoured this because it was a lot shorter. And for some reason, I was just vibing with it. I don't know. I felt like it was just like what I needed after that book.
And it's a good possibility.
I actually really loved the world building that was set in this book, and I liked the pace. I mean, there was a few little plot holes, but we'll talk about that later. Do we want to just talk about what it's about first?
Yeah, and then go right ahead. Yep.
Okay, so here's the thing. I keep trying to say Sonia. Her name's not Sonia. It's Sana. so it follows Sana that is raised in the human world. She's basically like kind of just not doing great. She's really poor. Like she can't keep a job. She's just down on her luck, right? So Sana ends up
McGrath?
Yeah, it's like McGrath or something. It's like MAC. It's
yeah.
like Irish. There's a lot of like Irish names in this. Like okay, actually, do you want to know what I loved when I opened the book is that there was a glossary. I love a glossary.
I do too, but some of the fucking words were
too
intense.
Yeah, I started reading it and then I genuinely was like, you know what, I'm just going to skip it and I have questions, I'll go back.
Did you go back though?
A couple times. I do actually. On my Kindle, I don't as much. If I have a physical book, I do go back.
I was going to say, if it's a physical book, I will, but if it's on my Kindle,
yeah,
I'll never go back.
I think I maybe did like one time. But anyways, so basically, Sana ends up answering
an
ad for a job. Kind of like Indeed, like that kind of thing, you know? And ends up being like trafficked into this Fae world. But she doesn't know, like, what the hell's going on. Yeah, so she's, like, trigger warning, human trafficking. Like, so she ends up being trafficked, and it's her story trying to navigate this crazy Fae court life. And they're not the Fae.
They're not your typical Fae.
No, not the Fae that we kind of have come to love in the last, like, couple of years.
Yeah,
like the Fae that you love. Like, these are the Fae that are ruthless and terrible and tricky. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, and so it was interesting. I actually really liked Sana's character. I thought her character development from the start to the end was really interesting. And this is going to sound stupid. Well, actually, you love the same things I do, but like, I love a little bit of feminine rage. I like when these bitches have fucking had enough.
Oh, for sure.
And they're just 100%. Like, I'm gonna
burn down the world.
Yes, now. I love the fury. I feel like it just adds so much to the plot and it gives you that emotion and connection to a book, like that up and down.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, premise of the book, right? We'll deep dive into it. I do have a couple notes. I don't know if you've taken any. But
I just will go off your notes and give you my opinions on
Great. I feel like sometimes it helps me be able to stay kind of a little bit on track because sometimes we
totally fine.
We do reviews like
off shit.
Yeah. So and I feel like we also at the same time I forget because we move on and I just like when I'm not sleeping because my insomnia gets really bad I just read book after book after book. And so I've started like having to keep notes.
That's fine.
Which also helps me write my type up my reviews even though I'm terrible at that as well, but it like I tend to do it in like spurts and chunks. You know. So I really enjoyed this book. Starting out when she gets trafficked, right? The creatures kind of in this were interesting. There's not like a ton, but can we talk about the little cage thing?
I wish I knew how to like pronounce whatever.
I don't know how to pronounce any of this.
Starts with like a K or whatever, and like it ends up being like her companion and shit like that.
Yeah, so it's like this weird mythical like magical being that is a cage, but like she can't see anything. Like there's some magic going on that like she's blinded. So when they get trafficked into this Fae world, they take over this complete transformation where it is one really dark. It's really dark. Like somebody comes in and changes their whole appearance. I'm not going to completely explain how. That's something you'll just have to read.
It's by magic. But
it's like
you're
dark.
Literally you are no longer your human self.
You like completely. Yeah, like Sona when she starts is like a redhead and has freckles and all this stuff, and they change her into a Fae. They pinch her ears, and they talk about when they're transforming her, the freaking stupid whatever I can't remember what they even call them.
Ratkin or Ratican.
Yeah,
or
like
I don't know. I will say I have to say one thing about like because you said if they pinched how they pinched her ears. I'm just gonna say. One of my favorite wordings about it was how they talked about her ears just instantly, just like forming.
That's what I was literally getting to. We're the same. So about how they were like, he literally tells her, the guy that took her, that tricked her, that hers were more easily moldable.
Your ears just
than
formed.
Other humans. So immediately you're like, I wonder what her lineage is. She's conveniently like grown up kind of like in foster care kind of situation, right? And you're like, Oh, okay. Like, that's interesting. So it immediately kind of, like, it just kind of starts off with a bang, I kind of feel like. Because she gets taken pretty quick, thank God. Because
the human trafficking thing was just, like, that's just something you don't ever, like, you don't read. Especially, like, in a fantasy book.
No. Like, maybe in, like, a dark romance or, like, something like that. Yeah, like
in a dark romance book. Like, that type of shit, right? But in a fantasy book, like, you don't read that type of stuff. It was
interesting and unique, I feel
and especially with, like, them, like, transforming her into a fae from human to fae.
Yeah.
You don't read that. So that was such a interesting concept.
Yeah, I agree.
And the magic to be able to create something to turn somebody into something else just by, like, just like, you know what I mean? It was just so interesting and it was unique.
Well, and then the whole, like, thing where they present them.
Oh, it was like an auction.
It literally an auction, and the only thing I could think of, which is terrible, is, do you remember the movie Taken way back in the day?
Yeah, where he's like, I will find you.
Well, no, where they're, like, drugged and presented.
Yeah.
And I was like, that kind of is, like, what it's like. And I was like, what the hell? Like, it's so eerie. Like, you're reading this, and it's eerie.
Oh, yeah. It was really, I mean, it's just something that you don't expect in a fantasy. So when we're telling you that this is a dark fantasy, this is a dark fantasy. So
I did forget to say this is a first person point of view.
Yep. And it ends up being a dual POV.
Yeah, it's a dual. Well. Let's talk about before she gets trafficked. She has a pet snake.
Oh, Cricket. And I wish we would have gotten more Cricket, man. I wish.
It was so funny. At first, I was like, why doesn't she have a cat or a dog? Like something, I know,
like we ended up getting fuzzy, a freaking
snake. And I was like, is it because she gets trafficked and she didn't want, like, us to be like, oh my God, she left it behind.
She left the cat or the dog.
I was like, I kind of didn't care as much as a snake. Rocky, stop. I'm going to be telling her this the whole time. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
But, like, when she makes the comment, so every time she leaves because she's not sure if she's going to come back because
she leaves the lid open.
Yeah, she leaves the lid open so the snake can just slither out. And the bitch comment.
Oh, yeah, she's like, if you're here, that's great. But if you leave, then, like, well, fuck you, you bitch. Like, I hope you get fucking mites in your scales.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck.
This book had some funny elements, though. As dark as it was, I giggled.
Comedic comments, yeah.
I literally was just like, Sona's freaking kind of funny. She's like sarcastic as hell, and I love sarcasm. Sarcasm is funny. Some people don't love that, but I just think it's hilarious.
Oh yeah. Well, it breaks up a good book, especially when you have the dark elements.
Yeah. So let's talk about after she gets taken, who ends up basically buying her.
So you get like the king's like Raven, right? Mm-hmm. Who's like the head of the guard, and he's buying her for the king himself.
Yeah, and which is kind of scary because you're like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, so she's basically, you're like instantly you're thinking like, oh fuck, she's gonna be like in guild, right? They're saddles, so you're like, oh fuck, she's gonna be a whore.
Yeah, she is.
She's gonna be a slave. She's a sex slave.
Yep. And so it's one of those things where it's like weird because he's like kind of rough and gruff, and the other people that have been captured, the other humans, are like, this is going to be terrible. Try to live through it, like you're like compartmentalize everything so that you're going to be okay and survive. Like they're like, this will be the worst thing that'll ever happen to you, but they're trying to also just kind of help her. But it's weird because the Raven, along the journey to go to the kingdom, right, the Fae court.
Like he's giving her privacy to eat and just like...
Yeah, and I actually would have loved more of the journey because I thought it was funny that like some of the guards were like kind of funny and nice to her. But everybody thinks she's the most gorgeous thing they've ever seen.
She is like...
She's like
opalescent. Her hair is just like silver and like moonlight. And
just like
she's got these big beautiful eyes.
Yeah, like big doe eyes, and they're like, she's the like... And they keep mentioning, like, throughout the book, like, everybody just says how beautiful she is, not, like, she's especially for a human, even though she's been transformed into a fae, right? And
Doer or something is what they call her?
Yeah, it's like a not Dior, that's a perfume. They're a brand of stuff.
It's like that,
It's like the way it's pronounced. I wish I had a physical book to look at the glossary right now, Do you still have my Kindle right here?
No, I put it over there.
Okay, that's okay. It's not a big deal. Oh, I could pull it up on this.
I would say it's like a Dior or Dior.
You can keep going if you want.
But it's like their name of like their what they call like their the human slaves that are like turned.
And they're basically beneath them, right?
Correct.
Okay, let's see here. We want to go to the glossary. So Sona, there's a lot of really hard words in this, and I'm not gonna lie, I flew through it, and I just like in a fantasy book, I skipped over a lot of names.
But you understand what they are.
But yeah, you like get the context of what they're talking about. So the formal title of the High King, right, is the Ardri.
Yeah.
Which is the king that's, and let's talk about him. He's fucking terrible. He's a piece of shit. He's like the typical, like when you talk about Ruthless Fae, it reminded me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Oh, 100%.
Like the torture and like the play, like that's where some of the dark elements come in. It like reminded me, and if you've seen Game of Thrones, when he like takes the crossbow.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I think there's a situation like that, which makes me wonder if
the
character,
100%.
Which makes me wonder if the author is a Game of Thrones fan.
Well, he chases her after. So, this is like a spoiler. Like when he meets the Pearl. So when he meets.
Oh my gosh!
Sona,
it's a D. So it's spelled Daor, and it's spelled deer. So it's So if you're talking like singular, it's deer. And the feminine is Dira.
Oh.
As well as dear and then dear is the plural. Okay. So it's a slave or an unfree person. And then let's see, the creature that we were talking about is the black dog. It's a Fallenish.
But they call it a kit something.
I don't know. I can't. It's weird because there's so many, like, okay, hopefully you can see this, but there's like, so it's like this book uses several Irish names, words, and phrases, and they're spelled using Middle Irish or Medieval Irish, and they may differ from modern Irish spellings or pronunciations. But it's like you have like names, court titles, vocabulary, the courts, and then like the House of Magic, different things. So like I loved that, like the way that was labeled and presented, I feel like, for the reader. You know what I mean? Yeah, so let's start off like pretty quick in the book. The king, like,
so anyways, so throughout her travels, the Raven who buys her, he's obviously pretty nice to her, right?
Yeah. So you're immediately like, oh, is this going to be the love interest?
Yeah, so he gives her the privacy. She gets into the castle, right? She meets some of the other Dior.
It's like
Diras or whatever.
I feel like you say Dior or
whatever,
Dior or something when you read it.
This kind of has like a found family type of 100%. Vibe with the people that she meets.
Yeah.
Which is really nice because she's always been like alone. She's never had that.
Well, and she doesn't trust anybody still. It takes her a while for it to trust people.
And these are obviously other humans that have been changed into these like new, like whatever, these slaves.
Nobody like looks like
a human. No. So, and they're like, don't trust any of these
people.
There
is a few that kind of do, but it just kind of depends on how they were shaped and changed. But
she is the only one that has ever looked like this.
Yeah, like they were like, wow, she's a like, masterpiece.
Are you sure you're not Fae? Like,
yeah, and it's funny because they say like how tricky like she is and stuff, and like as throughout the book they're like, wow, you're becoming more like a Fae, the way you think, the way you're acting. Like, it was so interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty soon in the book though, like when you start out with her interaction and the Raven's there, I was like, she literally starts off, right? And basically the king's like, yeah, show me what you can do. And she's trying to be like, okay, like I can make it through this. I can do something that'll help me survive, right? And I would say that this is a book that like blurs like gender boundaries too.
Yeah.
Like like she's been with like women, she's been with men, like, and she just doesn't really care.
They don't.
She just
and
wants
the
an
same with the
emotional
Fae.
connection. Like,
The same with the Fae
yeah,
as well.
yeah. So she, like, another thing that she kind of has Fae attributes. But like, you literally start off and she's in the king's room, like, the freaking sucking his thing.
Yeah, basically the whole like premise of this book is like she was like supposed to like be this slave to the like king, and like so she's like gives him head,
and he's the like, Raven's like you can tell the Raven's uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, the Raven is there as because he's the king's guard, like head guard, and like she gives like the king like bad head, and he's like,
even though she's like it was like the best, like whatever,
she thinks it's like the best like she's ever done, and he's like, well, you give terrible head,
and so for some reason the king goes fucking
so
ballistic.
That's where he gets the crossbow. And then he's like, and the Raven goes run, and so the king like hunts her, and like
in his wing, like his quarters and stuff,
in his apartments.
He
like,
literally
and like starts shooting her with the crossbow,
and he
stuff
beats
like that.
the ever
living shit out of her.
Like her skull fractured, everything.
So that's where like our story really begins.
That's where it starts. You're like, and so you're reading the first part of this book, and you're like, holy dark fantasy, this is crazy.
So, yeah,
and there are a few little things in this book that you kind of jump around, and I wish you'd get some more details on, like, when they were traveling or when this happened. Like, things tend to happen kind of fast.
100%.
Depending on, like, what it was. But then she ends up going to the temple.
And, like, while she's at the temple, the king ends up sneaking in there and ends up beating her while she's healing multiple times.
I just feel like Sona just suffers in this book a lot.
100%.
Like a fucking lot. It's wild. And so like she, I don't know, she like meets the priestess or whatever, and like you immediately love her. She's really nice. You have like a few people that are pretty nice for Faye, and then it's like they're either really nice or they are terrible. I do feel like this was one that I was suspicious, and it was pretty mysterious throughout the whole thing. But this has a lot of, the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, this has some similarities with Game of Thrones. I don't want to like ruin everything because I feel like it's something that people need to read.
Oh, for sure.
But it's also one of those things where it's just like, I fucking hate his sister.
Oh,
she reminds me of Cersei. Yeah. She's pretty terrible. Is she quite as bad? Maybe if we would have got more details of the day-to-day life in multiple books, we might say that. Oaken Rose is a fucking
cunt.
She's terrible. Excuse all of our language. If you watch our videos, you know, but I just can't help it. She's terrible.
But anyways, so like, without going into more like details to where it spoils anything.
Because this is a book that I don't feel like I want to spoil.
So the book really begins when the king beats her. And, like, she goes to the hospital and everything.
It spirals from there.
Yeah. And so that's when our story really picks up. And she ends up healing from that. And the king ends up having to go back and becoming a slave then, right?
Well,
like, she ends up having to be a
scullery maid. And the Raven's, like, trying to get her out of it. Like, he's trying to, like, make bargains and different things with the king that, like, so she doesn't have to go back and that he can take her away and do something different, but the king knows this, and so I feel like you can tell he's trying to punish Raven. You know what I mean? For just like some of the things that he's done.
Well, because the Raven stopped the king from killing her.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, I want her still. So
yeah, and so it's like crazy because you do have this kind of instant connection with the Raven and with Sona, and I can't remember when we were chatting about it, but I think you were just like, oh, I don't love like the Insta. Whatever.
Yeah, so I wish there would have been more. The thing is
build up.
Yeah, because there isn't so much interaction between the two of them that
I wanted like the slow burn.
They get that connection. It's more like it's instant there, right? Like the most connection we get is later on in the book where they're in the maw, the dungeon. That's the most interaction that we get between the two characters.
And let me tell you, that is where the Torture King comes in. And we'll just let you read it. because I don't even want to describe it. Like we said, check trigger warnings, but when I was reading that, I was like, what in the actual fuck? But for some reason, it was just like, it's just still fit in the book. But you learn so much
and you learn something about 20 wet leather gloves.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. Her lineage too was such a mystery because you're questioning it, and I did like that the author was leaving us little breadcrumbs to her lineage.
Oh, for sure.
And different things of like what's going on, and like the different bargains, and like I thought that Sona specifically, her character development was very interesting to me, and it was really cool to watch her go from kind of broken down to like slowly getting the confidence and slowly being in this world that she like just became so badass towards the end that she was like, I'm taking this place fucking down. And like she like when she plans to escape and stuff with like her friends and stuff, and oh, she's an idiot. It makes a bargain.
I just wish there would have been more of a build up, more world building. Like I wish we would have seen more of the castle, more of the grounds.
I think that this is going to be a great setup for a series.
Oh, 100%.
I am because of the way that I want book 2 now. I need it now.
The way that book 1 ended.
Yeah.
I was like, especially with Oak and Rose, I was like, this fucking hoe. She's a good villain though. She is. Like, you wrote a good villain. If you're watching this and Cáceres, like you wrote a fantastic.
I was like,
villain.
God damn it.
So if you base this on Game of Thrones, man, you did it justice. So.
I just like, for some reason, I just don't know what it was about. I felt like I enjoyed this whole thing. It kept me entertained the whole time, and I read it so fucking fast.
You did.
I read it so fast. It helps that I don't sleep, but I really did. I just freaking cruised. And it was just, there was something about it, and I loved the different courts, and I loved the different lands. Like, I thought it was so interesting.
I wish we would have got more on the courts, too.
And I think we're going to in the next book.
100%.
But it was also crazy interesting. I thought all the characters were very interesting. And I love, is it the House of Magic? What is it? The House of...
That's the one that only has...
That completely got obliterated.
Correct, except for the one girl.
Yeah. And so, like, it's so mysterious and you want to know more about it. And I love that Sona loves knowledge. And she thinks knowledge is, like, sexy. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I loved that. And so, it was just, I really liked it.
That's okay.
I gave it 3 chili peppers. I can't remember if I said that.
You
but,
did.
Like, you'll understand why. There's another part in it, like, with the spice that I was like,
I just wish they would have fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. But we can't explain why. I don't know. Overall, I really enjoyed the book, and it
was a great concept.
I feel like this was a good...
It was very unique.
If you read a lot of fantasy and a lot of romantasy, and you've dived a little bit into dark romance,
this would be something you would really like.
Yes! Sona and the Raven are just deranged. But, like, I kind of was for it. I don't know why.
It's an understatement, man.
It's an understatement, but I don't know how else to say it. But, like, they were nasty. But without even actually doing anything. But it fit, and I don't know why I was vibing with it, because I don't read things like this ever. Like, especially, like, those parts is what I should say. I read fantasy, and I love, like, the world building of what she put in there and everything, but... Yeah, like they're deranged.
20 leather gloves.
So, okay, actually, side note, I can't quit thinking about the other guy.
I thought about him too. I just can't think of his name.
I literally was just like...
dick.
Okay, listen, when we say deranged, we mean deranged. But, like, okay, not right now. I am a sucker for a fantasy man that has a filthy fucking mouth.
I know, and he was so filthy during that.
So filthy, and I was like, oh, why do I kind of like it?
So she was getting fucked by another man, okay?
I'm like, wait.
She was getting fucked. So, like...
Okay, this is too much detail.
Oh, no, I don't care. But, so, like, during the, like, torture king scene, right? Like, he was like, okay, I'm gonna let you get some.
Which is so dumb because I wanted him.
I know.
I wanted him. But
and so he ends up taking her to somebody else and
freaking basically kind of a little bit having a threesome.
Yeah. And while she's getting some dick, he's over here whispering in her ear while playing with her, you know what I mean? And
I'm so sorry. Please do not have anybody around. Just listen to this really quietly.
And he's got a filthy ass mouth.
Filthy. I love it. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Chris, you better be watching this shit.
No.
Pick up some tricks.
No.
Read this book, Chris.
No.
Pointers.
No. I can read about stuff like that. I don't want to participate in it. Does that make sense?
But he's got a
I'm down for the filthy mouth, but...
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Chris, filthy ass mouth.
But, the worst part of that whole thing, the worst part was you loved every second of it.
Oh, 100%.
And then you get done.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, don't move. He's
glamored. No.
Oh, I know.
He's fucking glamored.
And he's like this wrinkly ass man.
Gross. And she tries not to vomit. She's like, why would you do that to me? And I go, what the fuck's wrong with the Raven?
I know.
You should have just done it yourself.
I know.
I feel like I felt betrayed.
I did.
Because I was so into it that I was like, he did not do that to her.
You know how dogs lock in place?
It makes me think of when we talked about Bride. I was like, fucking stop, Dallas!
Yeah, when dogs have to lock in place. That's exactly what just happened with her.
And she's trying not to throw up. And I was like, I can't. No. And I'm like, but
why?
I could not quit thinking about it for days afterwards. I was like, no. So anyways, after all of that, just read the book. Add it to your TBR. It's deranged and so good. Even if it didn't have the deranged part, the plot line's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment and freaking add the book to your TBR. Okay, I'm done. I can't talk about it anymore.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
bye guys.